IT service continuity management maintains the necessary ongoing recovery capability within the IT services and their supporting components. It focuses on those events that the business considers significant enough to be considered a disaster. This illustration depicts the service continuity process. The process is initiated by management, which then engages in a requirement strategy that is implemented and maintained. Management establishes parameters, policies, and guidelines around the invocation of the plan. IT continuity and implementation processes are fed by and complement business continuity strategies and plans. The initiation process consists of a policy setting, specifying the terms of reference and the scope, allocating resources, and the traditional project management process steps. The requirement strategy ascertains the business requirements for IT service continuity and is a critical component in determining how well an organization will survive a business interruption or disaster and the costs that will be incurred. One of the key outputs from a business impact analysis is a graph of the anticipated business impact caused by the loss of a business process or the loss of an IT service over time, as illustrated in the slide. This graph can then be used to drive the business and IT continuity strategies and plans. More preventative measures need to be adopted with regard to those processes and services with earlier and higher impacts, whereas greater emphasis should be placed on continuity recovery measures for those where the impact is lower and takes longer to develop. A balanced approach to both of those measures should be adopted to those that fall in between. A number of risk analysis and management methods are available for both the commercial and government sectors. All methods require the evaluation of risks and the development of a risk profile such as displayed in this slide. This list highlights the typical risk reduction measures undertaken by an organization. It includes such things as the installation of UPS and backup powers to the computer, fault-tolerant systems for critical applications where even minimal downtime is unacceptable, RAID arrays and disk mirroring for LAN service to prevent against data loss and to ensure continued availability of data, spare equipment components to be used in the event of equipment or component failure, the elimination of single points of failure, resilient IT systems and networks, outsourcing services to more than a single provider, greater physical and IT-based security controls, and better controls to detect service disruptions, such as fire detection systems. Testing the continuity plan is a critical part of the overall IT SCM process and the only way of ensuring that the selected strategy, standby arrangements, logistics, business recovery plans, and procedures will actually work in practice. Walkthrough tests can be conducted when the plan has been produced simply by getting the relevant people together to see if the plan will work at least in a simulated way. Full tests should be conducted as soon as possible after the plan production and at regular intervals of at least annually thereafter. They should involve the business units to assist in proving the capability to recover the service appropriately. They should, as far as possible, replicate an actual invocation of all standby arrangements and should involve external parties if they are planned to be involved in the actual invocation. The tests must not only prove recovery of the IT service, but also the recovery of the business processes. It's recommended that an independent observer records all the activities of the test and the timings of the service recovery. The observer's documentation of the test will be a vital input into subsequent post-mortem review. The full test may be announced or unannounced. The first test of the plan is likely to be announced and carefully planned, but subsequent tests may be sprung on key players without warning. It is also essential that many different people get involved, including those not familiar with the IT service and systems, as the people with the most knowledge may not be available when the actual disaster occurs. Partial tests can be undertaken where recovery of a certain element of an overall plan is tested, such as a single service or servers. These types of tests should be in addition to the full test, not instead of the full test. The full test is the best way of testing that all services can be recovered in required timescales and can run together on the required system. Scenario tests can be used to test reactions and plans to specific conditions, events, and scenarios. They can include testing that the business continuity plans and the IT service continuity plans interface with each other, as well as interfacing with all the other plans involved in the handling and management of a major incident. Continuity plans should be considered within the context of the organization's change management procedures. Both ITIL and COVID emphasize the importance of this linkage. When a change proposal has been received, it has to be classified. Classification involves investigating the impact the change has on the organization, budget, human resources, and whether the continuity of the organization is at risk by the proposed change. The decision to invoke the plan needs to take into account the extent of the damage and scope of the potential invocation, the likely length of the disruption, the unavailability of premises and services, and it must also take into account the time of day, month, and year, and the potential business impact.